Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here, and Rin's development knows no bounds. All right, his development this episode, I feel this entire season is just focused around Rin as a character, as a captain, his development, and ultimately, I feel like by the end of the series, he is going to end up being my primary character, my favorite character, and it's really great to see him and see how far he's come from what he was last season into this season. From last episode, helping out Ray with his swimming. And this episode really focused on his friends and the fact that he's not going to put his self ambitions before his friends because his friends are the ones who were there for him when he needed help, vice versa. Nitori's actually swimming, trying to get good, trying to get better at his swimming form so he can perform in the relay. Momo is actually doing really well, and I really like how Rin took it upon himself to be like, hey, I'm going to do something that a captain normally shouldn't really do. I'm not going to go based on times. I'm going to give people the opportunity to perform in the relay at Prefectuals if they want to. I'd rather it be a personal experience for you to go out and, want to do this versus doing it because your times are good. And I really resonate with Rin as of right now because of the fact that I have friends who have been there for me when I was down, when I was at rock bottom. They were there for me when I'm in the position I am in now. They're there for me, and when I'm good, they're still there for me. So it's like I can understand completely where he's coming from. I would never want to be in a situation where I feel like I don't need my friends because I'm good. Even though that's the same situation with Rin. Rin's good. Rin's fine. Rin doesn't particularly need Momo and Nitori to win the Prefectuals, but the fact is he wants him to be there as a personal experience to grow, to bond, and I really did appreciate that. The fact that he's going to balance both his dream and his friendships, not just with Team Iwatobi, but with his own cell group of Sousuke, Nitori, and Momo as well. So Rin's development over 9,000. All right, I'm just calling it like that. And I feel like by the end of this season, if not by a few more like one more or two more episodes, if it keeps on point with Rin's development and how much more of a likable character he is, I feel like he's going to ultimately become my favorite. We also got development of Rin and Sousuke's backstory, their falling out, if you will, of their childhood, and you get to see really that Sousuke has pretty much been the same type of person he's always been. Normally, what I thought was jealousy amongst Rin and Haru, it just turns out that that's his personality. He's more of a individualistic person. Sousuke is very self-centered. He's too hardened, and I feel like he's just not that emotional with himself. He's not that emotional with with people around him. Even him and Rin's relationship, even it's like they're best friends, but they don't share the same type of expressions of friendship as Rin does with, say, Nagisa or Haru or Makoto. So I feel like that's somewhat of a hindrance when it comes to Sousuke and his interaction with Rin, and the fact that he can't understand why Rin is putting his friends before anything, before his own ambitions, before his own goals, and he sees that as a hindrance for Rin. And I understand he wants the best for his best friend, but at the same time, it's like you have to understand where he's coming from. His development last season was the pinnacle of why he is the person he is today, with being a lot more friendly to Team Iwatobi, to being a lot more open with his own teammates, Nitori, especially if you saw last season how he treated Nitori. He treated him like a burden, like an annoyance, and now this season he's giving him a lot more recognition and acceptance. So Sousuke, I feel like Sousuke is going to be a little bit more of an obstacle for Rin, because obviously it showed this episode he confronted Rin on the whole stop being buddy, stop treating these people like they're more important than you or your ambitions or your goals. And that's where the falling out, I can see the falling out happening between Rin and Sousuke if it comes down to Sousuke giving, he has that promise, that leverage on him where he's going to be like, hey, I promise, the promise you have to do for me, that promise could come down to choose me or choose Team Iwatobi, choose me or choose Haru. So I feel like it is a mix of jealousy, but at the same time, it's a little bit of his personality in the sense that maybe he just doesn't really trust people, or maybe he just relies heavily on himself because he doesn't want to be let down, or he doesn't want to let other people down. I don't know, but I feel like it's a lot more complex than just hey, we can't swim on the same team because we're two different people. But that development was extremely, extremely focal, extremely important to learning more about Sousuke and Rin's development in the past to where they are now, and as well as Sousuke when it comes to Team Iwatobi in the future, especially with Haru. A lot of comedy, a lot of good comedy this episode. I actually rewatched the episode because this episode came out yesterday. I watched it yesterday, but I didn't put out a review until today. But I rewatched it before I did this, and the comedy with Gou and her whole training regimen for Prefectuals for Team Iwatobi, that was hilarious in and of itself when she went through everyone's bentos and she was like, no, you need more vegetables, you need more meat, yours is like completely off, you care about beauty more than anything. I don't know about any of yous, but Ray's laugh, he's like, like that laugh is so freaking funny, and he did it last episode too when Gou thought he had like a relationship, like when he had a girlfriend. That's why he wasn't like showing up to practice. That laugh is hilarious. Like, it's so freaking hilarious. It fits him so well because it's like it's an over-exaggerated laugh because he was all head over heels about his bento being perfect, and the fact that he was worrying more about its appearance than actually the content. And I felt so bad for Nagisa when he got a 0 because he eats like sweets with sugar and carbohydrates and he had no type of protein whatsoever. I felt so bad for him because he was like, oh my god, like it's like his heart was broken essentially. But Team Iwatobi is getting schooled right now by Gou. She's being extremely serious. She's got a crazy training regimen for them. She wants them to be eating good. She wants their bodies in tip-top shape because she wants them to go to Prefectuals, Nationals, and all that great stuff. Nothing really centered around finding new teammates. I guess at this point they're worrying about Prefectuals, and then once Prefectuals start and towards the end they'll worry about finding new teammates for to fill in the gap for Haru and Makoto when they leave. But this episode was very, very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Another thing, the ending. Like the ending with the music, and it shows all of the the Team Iwatobi members in their professions, I guess you want to say. I think that is some form of foreshadowing. Why? Because if you look at Ray this episode, he was going over this training regimen and the calculations and all that stuff, and he was talking about, oh my gosh, these calculations are going to be off because I'm going to be eating this pizza. He's a very analytical person. He does things by the book. He's a textbook type of character. He does things with numbers and analyzing and comparisons and all that stuff. And in the ending, he was a scientist. He was putting test tubes and stuff like that, training on the rockets. So that could possibly be something that he pursues, like a life, of chemistry or of, scientific, any type of science field work. And then Haru, in the ending, was a chef at like a 5-star restaurant, and he was cooking up like mackerel and stuff like that. And the reason why I say that as well is because this episode he took the responsibility of coming up with a recipe for everyone for their bentos. So I don't know, like when it comes to like Rin being a police officer and Nagisa being an astronaut and Makoto being a firefighter, I don't know about that, but maybe there is some type of foreshadowing when it comes to what these guys are going to be doing after high school, after college, in terms of a career. But that's all I took for this episode. Like I said, very awesome episode. I loved it. I got development. We got comedy. We got all types of stuff this episode. So let me know what you guys thought about it overall, what you liked about it, what you're looking forward to, all that stuff in between. Also, be sure to like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you're new to my channel, if you haven't already, of course. And until next week, I will catch you guys later. Take care.